Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to set up the objects that we need to work with RoomSmith. I'll create a builder object and on the builder we'll zero that. I'm going to add the floor plan room builder script. I'll also add a player object. And on the player object we have a simple first person controller. That we can add, and I'll zero that as well. We can use this to test the level as we go. What I'll do, I'll just get the main camera and create a child of the player, and I'll just give that player tag. Okay, so going back to the builder object, as you can see, there's two items that we need. Which one is a room template, which is not yet set, and a floor plan template as well. Both are scripted objects. We can create a new room template, which we'll go through at a later moment. But at the moment, if you look at the GameSmith directory folder, we have a whole list of templates here. Let me just pull the castle template. And the floor plan, there's different ways we can do this. We can actually go to Assets Create, GameSmith, and we can actually create a floor plan from here. We can also create a new template from here or a floor plan editor config. But the easy way is to actually launch the floor plan editor itself. So if we go up to Tools, to GameSmith, floor plan editor, this will pull up our floor plan editor, and I generally dock it in the alongside the Inspector tab. And it says here, it says, please assign a floor plan by dragging an existing one or create a new floor plan using the button below. So in our floor plans folder, we have a lot of floor plans um, that we can use or reuse. It's a scripted object, or we can click on here and create a new floor plan. And there our floor plan editor appears with the options. When we do create one, the floor plan will be automatically assigned to the builder. I'll just lock that on. See there we have the new floor plan which is created here. It's automatically named. We can rename it to whatever we want. Let's just call it tutorial floor plan. There is also a config object which we can apply to the floor plan editor if we want to choose our own custom colors. As you see, all the segment types are color coded. At the moment, it's using the default ones, but we can assign a config file. There's a default one here, which is pretty much the same. It does mean that we can go in and change the colors that we want to use. Now, if we just pull this one up, you can see here that for any of these segments, we can choose any color we like. Now, a lot of these segments, you probably won't be using them all at the same time. So you don't need to set all the colors, but the ones you use, you can set those up depending on your preferences. So going back to the floor plan editor, you see here we have some buttons here. Once we've assigned the floor plan and added the config, we can create a new floor plan. We can get the floor plan from the builder, which will retrieve the floor plan that the builder is currently using. We can send it to the builder if we create a new one or drag one in. And here we have the open grid. So we click on open grid. we get our actual floor plan or the view of it, and we can start creating segments, wall segments of selected type here. I say there's some grid settings here. If we want to work with a smaller grid, for example, we can change that and refresh the grid to work on a 10 by 10. I think the default is 20, 20 by 20. Refresh grid. I say we can hide the grid, show the grid, or close it and reopen it um, as we're working. Switch between the actual build and the floor plan. There are a few default values here. You can set the build height and the floor frequency, which we'll discuss later on when we look at the builder, but 0 will be ground floor only, basically. And we can change the current floor that we're working on. Initially, we'll just be working on the one floor, the ground floor, um, for the main walls. We can set a default length and width for our stairwells. There is a maze generation section as well, which we'll look at later. Able connection will enable itself once we have segments. There are no segments at the moment, so we can't select any of them. So just starting with the main wall, as you can see, we can choose what segment type we're currently working with here. The most important being the main wall. So if I click on start editing main wall, I can then left click on these points to create the main wall. Now the main wall is probably the most important one because that defines where our floors and ceilings are, the outer boundaries. And it can be any shape. I'm just doing it as a square for the moment, but it can be any shape at all, any number of segments. But just to demonstrate, there's our floor. If I stop editing, um, if I go to close grid now and look at our building and go to build room, you'll see this builds that square structure with walls, ceiling, and floor, as we haven't defined anything else. We can, I say, in our building object here, we have settings for walls, wall decorations, floors. We can also generate the surrounding ground area as well, setting the object there. So we'll put some sound, and that already has decorations set on the ground templates, which we'll look at later as well. But just going back to the, so we can switch between the two. Floor plan editor, selecting the tab. I find this an easy way of working, having both of them side by side. When we open the grid, the actual level is hidden from us, so we can get a better view of the floor plan, not being obstructed by anything else in the scene. So we have our main walls here. You can see it's got 4 segments. Each segment's got a little selection button here, so you can select each one. So as we select each one, we can see the details of this, the actual segment index. Main walls and the walls ones do have additional settings. For example, this one has a door setting, whether it's doors or windows. We can have a look at windows later on at the moment. So we can set the number of doors. For example, if I set that to be 1, and the back rear one, if I can set that to be 1. In fact, if I put 1 on all of them, well, I'll just leave 1 on the back and the front for the moment, and close the grid and build the room once again. We'll see we now have a door in the front and the back. And if I just check where my player is, I'll just pull him down to the bottom here. If I go into play mode, I can actually walk around the structure and explore it in first person view. If we look at our tutorial castle templates. See in the walls, we actually have 3 wall templates. Castle wall, which has a level range, 0 to 0 means it'll be used um, on any level. We have a castle window, which at the moment the probability is 0. So if we move it up to 100, it then means it will have either wall or window um, of equal probability. So if I build room now, I'll just take off the uh, the ground decoration so you can see a bit better. We now have the windows appearing randomly, basically about 50-50 because they're both set to 100, same probability. But there are many other ways we can control the windows too. This is just one by actually using a wall section with windows. And every time we build at the moment, you'll see it's randomly assigning the windows. Just bring down the normal bias and bias on the So obviously we have one floor at the moment with one floor frequency 1, so we can increase the height, building height by floors. Let's put that to 3 and make the floor frequency of 1, which means there'll be one floor for each unit of height. So if we build now, we should have, I need to uncheck the floor plan defaults. So that's 3 and 1. We now have 3 floors, all with floors and ceilings. And the top floor, as you can see, the castle wall top is slightly different as it has the battlements. This is using level range 2, which is the third floor. I think it goes 0, 1, 2. 0 being ground floor, 1 first floor, 2 the second floor. And because this is set to 100 with a level range, it means that this overrides any of the 0, 0 ones, so that always appears at the top. Just going back to the grid builder. Let's put in a stairwell. The staircases in this particular theme are built around 2 and 1, 2 length and 1 width. So if we start, say, put one here in the middle, and there's our stairwell. And we can see if we select the stairwell that the start and end height is 0 to 1. So this will only go up to 1 floor. If we want it to go up to the top, right to the roof, we can set the default of 0, 0, and then it'll be from the bottom right to the top. So if we close that now, go back to the builder and build the room, we should see that there is now a staircase. If we go back into play mode, we now have a staircase it's going up all 3 floors. It actually goes right through to the roof. If we didn't want it to go to the roof, just to go to the top floor, we could change the settings on the staircase to be 2. sample the room again now, and we would see that the staircase now finishes at the top floor, doesn't continue through. Also, if we wanted higher rooms, we can set the floor frequency. So if you wanted double, you can set that to say 6 and make the floor frequency 2. So we still have 3 floors, but each floor would be 2 tiles high. And the stairs would be adjusted accordingly, alternated, and be a little balcony behind to allow you to move up. So if we looked at that in play mode, now I've got 2 staircases on each floor.